Hi everyone, it's Christopher, Mono County Library Director and co-host of the Oxygen Starved podcast, and it's Book Talk Friday, and I'm here in our June Lake Library, and I've assembled a small assortment of books to talk to you about this week. Just some books that we all know, love, grew up reading, such as Harold and the Purple Crayon. How many of us learned to read with this book? Wonderful story about Harold and the world he draws for himself over one magical evening. It came out in 1955. It's never been out of print. We even have an ebook version. I loved this as a kid. Other books I loved as a kid, Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak. The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. I remember adults passing this book around when I was a youngster. And the book that I thought was the funniest thing since sliced bread as a 5-year-old, Hop on Pop by Dr. Seuss. Now, what do you suppose Hop on Pop and Harold and the Purple Crayon have in common other than Christopher read them when he was really little? Well, it's Banned Books Week in the States, supported by the American Library Association, and both these titles and the others have been challenged or banned in the course of their lives. Believe it or not, Harold and the Purple Crayon for promoting vandalism, Hop on Pop for promoting violence against parents. The Giving Tree was challenged for supposedly being sexist, and Where the Wild Things Are was challenged because supposedly talking to animals is unnatural. Don't tell my 2 dogs at home. Doesn't stop there, though. Some other titles that have been challenged or banned. James and the Giant Peach by Roald Dahl. I think it's a wonderful story. It was turned into a really terrific movie. It's been challenged based on language, racial depictions, and apparently there's a scene with a spider in here who licks her lips a little too sensuously for some readers. The Little House on the Prairie books by Laura Ingalls Wilder. I read all of these as a kid. More recently, they get challenged for their negative depictions of Native Americans. Jean Craighead George's seminal Julie of the Wolves. This is an award winner. It's on a lot of school reading lists. It's about a 13-year-old Eskimo girl who gets forced into a marriage and her attempts to escape it. More recently, how many of us have young kids or grandkids who love the Junie B. Jones series? These fly out of the libraries. They've been challenged for supposedly promoting poor social values. Doesn't stop with the young kids, though. Teens, of course, their books get challenged too. The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. It has shown up on a lot of banned books lists in the recent years for promoting supposedly an anti-police bias. More recently, a terrific book, Mexican White Boy by Matt de la Peña. Great reviews, great young adult novel. It's been challenged for supposedly promoting an anti-white bias. Believe it or not, The Giver by Lois Lowry. A lot of us love this book, but it has been challenged based on language, violence, and sexual content. The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie, another award winner. He's been a problematic author recently, but this book gets challenged for depicting violence, drug use, and alcoholism. And of course, the 3-hanky book that was turned into a 4-hanky movie, The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, has also been challenged. Doesn't stop with the teens, though. Adults, we get our fair share. Of course, the granddaddy is The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. How many of us read this in school? Well, it was published in 1850, was immediately banned in many parts of the world, believe it or not. Another one many of us read in school, The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck, seminal story of the Okies escaping the Dust Bowl, coming to California to find work, notably Central California. And interestingly enough, you could not find this book in Kern County or Bakersfield for many, many years because it was banned. A lot of us are loving the various iterations of Lord of the Rings in the movies and on streaming these days. Well, J.R.R. Tolkien's classic that inspired all that work has been challenged. Some surprising ones from recent years to me, Ken Follett's Pillars of the Earth, one of my favorite historical fiction novels about building an abbey in medieval England, has been challenged. Another one put up to be banned, The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown. The book club favorite, The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold, has been challenged. Another book club favorite, supposedly for desensitizing violence, has been challenged, is The Kite Runner by Khalid Hosseini. And finally, I did include this nonfiction Barbara Ehrenreich book because she recently passed away. This is Nickel and Dimed on Not Getting By in America. It was challenged for supposedly being faddish and having no moral value. I read it and I thought it had a lot of value. Now listen, books have been challenged since books have existed. It's kind of a unfortunate fact of life. The nature of challenges changes over time. When To Kill a Mockingbird was first published, it was challenged for being low and vulgar. Nowadays, it gets challenged because it includes a very prominent racial slur in a lot of the language. Many books today, according to the American Library Association, are challenged based on sexuality, gender, or race issues. If you want to find out more, go to ala.org. If you want to read a really good book and one that is probably provocative, come into Mono County Libraries and check one out. As always, we promote the freedom to read. And if you have questions about a book or what a family member is reading, we always encourage you to talk to them about it. It may bring up a conversation that is really rich and beneficial from just having talked about a book that you have questions about. Come in, grab a great read. In the meantime, stay safe and happy reading.